Good to go, Chris? Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby call to order this meeting of the Sedalia City Council on this 20th day of January, part of the 2025-2026 session. The meeting is now called to order. The first item on our agenda is legislative prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Chaplain Matson, you have the floor to lead us in prayer.
Would you please stand as able and join me in our invocation this evening? Dear Lord, Father of us all, we come to you this evening to ask your guidance as the City Council of Sedalia, Mayor, Administrator, Ward members, and staff meet to hear about, question, discuss, and make decisions for the betterment of this community. We are grateful for their service and dedication to the city. We ask your protection for all of our first responders who work 24/7 to serve and protect us, often at their own peril. We are truly grateful for the United States of America, this constitutional republic. So many thousands have fought and died to create and preserve it for these 250 years. We ask your protection for all of our military and civilians serving this country today, here and throughout the world, and ask that they be brought back to their homes safety. And during this year of this 250th anniversary, we need to stop and think about those founders who risked their lives to put together this greatest experiment in self-government. We shouldn't take it for granted. And now as we leave tonight, please protect us and our loved ones. Keep us from harm until we meet again. And all this is prayed in the name of our risen Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chaplain Matson. Roll call, please.
Robinson.
Yes.
Ames.
Here.
Scribner.
Here.
Bogus.
Here.
Hiller.
Here.
Cross.
Yes.
Foster.
Here.
Franklin.
Here.
First item on our agenda is approval of the previous session meeting minutes. We'll take these one at a time. The first one is the council meeting, and these meeting minutes are dated January 5, 2026. Do I have a motion and second?
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion to approve and second. Do I have any council discussion regarding those meeting minutes? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. We now have the special council meeting that occurred on January 10th, 2026. We have those meeting minutes. Do I have a motion and second?
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second. Do I have any council discussion regarding those meeting minutes? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. We now have the meeting minutes from the strategic planning session dated January 10th, 2026. Do I have a motion and second?
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second. Do I have any council discussion regarding those minutes? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. We now have the report of special boards, commissions, and committees. We have the meeting minutes from the Citizens Traffic Advisory Commission. These are dated December 10th, 2025. Do I have a motion and second?
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion to approve and second. Do I have any council discussion regarding those meeting minutes? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. We'll now move on to the roll call of our standing committees. Up first is Finance Administration. Chairwoman Bogus, you have the floor.
Thank you. Tonight we have 5 items. The first one being Sedalia Pettis County Economic Development Director Jessica Craig. She's going to provide us the annual presentation of the accomplishments for 2025 and future plans.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the council and to the mayor for the chance to be here tonight. Again, Jessica Craig, Economic Development Director for Sedalia Pettis County. I'm going to talk a little bit about where we are, where we've been, where we're headed. So as you know, economic development, we focus on business retention, business expansion, business attraction for Sedalia and Pettis County in manufacturing, warehouse, distribution, logistics, and technology and energy sectors. We've never wavered our commitment to the more than 70 manufacturers here in Sedalia and Pettis County. It's kind of unique that we are a community of 22-ish thousand, a county of 44,000, but we have over 70 manufacturers. So we should be really proud of the nexus of manufacturing and industrial companies that we have here, and we continue to cultivate that growth. In the last 9 years, we have worked with companies to expand their facilities or build new locations, resulting in 1,258 new jobs, just shy of 1,800 retained jobs, and new capital investment of $609 million. And these are really great family supporting positions with an average salary of $46,674. A lot of folks ask us, why don't you focus on retail and commercial development? Our job is to create net new wealth in the community. That's why you see those sectors that are not there. They don't have a local customer base. The theory is if we grow manufacturing, warehouse, distribution, logistics, those dollars change hands 7 times before they leave the community. So if you do the math, that's $4.26 billion in the ripple effect that we have had here in the local economy. And 2025 has proven to be our second most impactful year in terms of job creation and capital investment, only second to the year that Nucor announced and brought their new facility here. So we're coming off of a very strong 2025. I talk quick and a lot, so you guys are welcome to ask questions if you'd like. Some of those successes over the recent years, Maxion Wheels implemented 3 new product lines, 60 new jobs. They're headquartered out of Brazil. Allen Industries, $7 million capital investment, 100,000 square feet expansion, 48 new jobs, 48 retained jobs. KC Bobcat, they're headquartered in Kansas City, expanded into this market with $3 million capital investment, 10,000 square feet, 12 new jobs. TMP Agriculture, they are headquartered in Dexter, Missouri. This is their second location, 500,000 square feet capital investment, 5 retained jobs, 10 new jobs. And you'll notice we work with companies that have 5 employees or 500. We really want to continue to grow the entire continuum of employment base. Simcoe, they're based out of Minnesota. They broke ground on and launched their new $17 million facility here in town, 35 new jobs there. Prysmian, based out of Milan, Italy, broke ground and launched their $45 million expansion, 60 new jobs, 215 retained jobs, 115,000 square feet under roof. And Impact Signs broke ground on and launched their new $8 million headquarter and production facility, 60,000 square feet under roof, 40 retained jobs, 8 new jobs located in the Thompson Meadows Industrial Park. I highlight all of these because these companies, whether they're from here or not from here, they could go anywhere. They could expand anywhere. They have a lot of options. They have multiple states that are recruiting them, not only to invest there, but recruiting them away from here. So we intentionally focus and are proactive in our ability to recruit and, most importantly, retain the existing businesses that we have. So 2025, some of our successes, of course, Amazon. Everybody probably has seen their new facility in Thompson Meadows Industrial Park. They purchased 14 acres. We worked with them over 18 months to bring that project to fruition. Again, they were looking at multiple states, multiple locations. I think a lot of folks think that these projects just happen organically. It takes a lot of behind the scenes negotiation and working with them, building the relationships, identifying that Sedalia is a place for them to invest. We are business friendly and we are the place that their location should be. $18 million new facility, 65,000 square feet under roof, 100 new jobs, 75 contract jobs, 14 acres. Again, Thompson Meadows Industrial Park. I want to give a shout out to the Sedalia Police Department, the great partnership we have with them. This picture is made possible through their drone unit. And we would normally have to pay for a lot of these aerial photos. We have a fantastic partnership with the Sedalia Police Department that makes a lot of this possible. So we very much appreciate that. Midstate Specialty Eggs. They're a company that has always kind of run under the radar. They're on HH. If you've ever driven there, you've seen them continue to grow and build and build and build and build. They had the need to expand and build a completely new headquarter and state-of-the-art production facility. They bought 40 acres on HH to grow that $100 million expansion. That's huge for a company of their size. 250,000 square feet, 100 retained jobs, 100 new jobs as well. U.S. Quality Construction, Governor Keogh is here with us to announce and celebrate their grand opening and ribbon cutting. They're on Menifee Road out by Prismian and the Tyson complex. $10 million capital investment with their new headquarters and supply project, 40 new jobs, again on Menifee Road. Great locally owned business and family-owned company. So these successes don't just happen organically or overnight. It takes months and years to build the relationships and a lot of groundwork that goes into it. A lot of that is through our marketing and increasing the awareness of Sedalia. If you're a company in Milan, Italy, do you know where Sedalia, Missouri is? Not necessarily. So we have channels where we can source business leads and opportunities for growth. And that's exactly what we're doing through our impressions, our digital footprint, and our marketing of sites and buildings. So in 2025, we had over 42,000 total impressions, 1,700 engagements, and just the Amazon facility project announcement alone was picked up by 461 outlets worldwide, reaching an audience of 84 million people. Think about that. So Sedalia is on the map when it comes to Amazon, reaching 84 million people worldwide. Those outlets were Yahoo Finance, St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Expansion Solutions Magazine, Area Development. The decision makers and the site location consultants, this is where they're going to get their information. So we were absolutely on their radar. One thing we get a lot of questions about is what new company is coming to town. That's really exciting. That's the sexy topic, right? But if we're not supporting our existing companies, we're dead in the wind, right? We don't want to recruit a new company at the detriment of an existing company here. So one thing that we do every single year is celebrate companies that have been here with 5-year milestone increments through our manufacturer's milestone banquet. So in October, we celebrated Midwest Metalcraft with 10 years of doing business here throughout Sedalia and Pettis County. Duke Manufacturing, 55 years. Troyer Masonry, 55 years. Dittsfield, 65 years. Fisher's Concrete, 70 years. And James H. Drew, 75 years. Those are huge milestones for our community and for them to be here and continue to invest and grow here. We also had 4 companies that weren't able to be there, but we also recognize them. RCL Wiring for 20 years, Sierra Bullets 35, Sedalia Tool and Manufacturing for 45, and Al's Welding and Iron Works for 50 years. Those are big numbers, folks, for them to continue to invest and grow here. I will also note these events are put on with absolutely no public dollars. We work with local companies that know that they benefit whenever companies that we're working with grow. And so we were supported by over 15 companies that were table sponsors. So we didn't need to have public funds. And that's very intentional for these events to be self-sustaining. The picture in front of you, but kind of behind the numbers, the red folks in the red shirts. This is the Tri-L Manufacturing Open House. Again, Precision Manufacturing had been here for many, many years. And the owner in my business retention meetings with him said, I want to retire. So what happens when you have an existing company here and the owner wants to retire? He can either retire, close a business, or we help find a succession plan for him. It's exactly what we did with Tri-L Manufacturing. They were able to purchase that location. And we were able to support that grand opening and open house July 18th. The continuity of these businesses is really important. They may only have 5 employees today, but they could have 15, 20 tomorrow. So whether it's just 1 employee or 5, it's incredibly important to us. We like to celebrate companies through project announcements, ribbon cuttings, and open houses. Those are kind of the big flashy things. Somebody once said to me at a grand opening or a project announcement, now what are you going to do? I was like, well, this is a great opportunity to announce a project, but now the hard work really starts. Now we have to deliver. Now we have to make sure these companies have what they need to continue to grow here. We announced Mid-State Specialty Eggs September 8th, Amazon April 30th. So in addition to business recruitment, we've had a business retention expansion program for over 25 years. This is an opportunity for me to sit down with plant managers and those site leaders to ask them, how are things going? What's going well? What keeps you awake at night? What can we help you with? This allows me to identify red flags or opportunities where they have the chance to grow. That really is my lifeline to them, which we do every single year. In 2025, we facilitated 23 business retention expansion meetings with local companies throughout Sedalia and Pettis County. And the why? Our existing businesses create most of your local jobs. Up to 80% is the national average, generating significant tax revenue. They foster local supply chains and again, feed into that local ripple effect. I go back to these numbers. In the last 9 years, we worked with companies not only to create jobs, new capital investment, but retaining nearly 1,800 jobs. Think about our community without those 1,800 jobs. It'd be completely different. New business recruitment, which is also very exciting. We responded to 18 requests for proposals from businesses seeking a new location. These could be companies looking anywhere in the entire nation. They could be looking globally. They could be looking just in Missouri. And it's kind of the survival of the fittest. And so we want to put our best foot forward, make sure they have the infrastructure, the workforce, all the things they need to be successful here when we're responding to an RFI. We led 8 in-person and virtual site visits for companies that would be interested in potentially locating a new facility here. We showcase available sites and buildings in terms of greenfield sites and buildings that are available through not only location one on our website, but those feed into virtual and international platforms. And then it's all about relationships, right? So those decision makers that our companies would hire to locate new facilities, we communicate with them, always try to showcase the community through Missouri Partnership and those site location consultants. So switching gears a little bit, in addition to business recruitment, retention, expansion, organizationally, we've gone through a lot of transition in 2025. And I wanted to walk you guys through this process. As you know, historically, we were located in the US Bank building on the 3rd floor. Phenomenal space for us to showcase the community from an aerial view for over 25 years. US Bank ultimately chose to close that location, and we were gracious enough that Lamey's offered to temporarily relocate to downtown. So we relocated in US Bank closed mid-2023. We relocated October of 2023, which is a big move for us because, again, we'd been there for 25 years. It was really neat to be downtown, completely different vibe, and makes me appreciate downtown even more so. The Sedalia Development Corporation, which is known as the Sedalia Pettis County Community Service Corporation, forecasting ahead. What is our next plan? Where are we going to go? They approved the construction and financial resources to establish the first standalone economic development office in 2024. This is a 501c3. It's completely aside from the public-facing economic development organization. Chose to locate this facility you see in front of you on 2 acres that was already owned by the Sedalia Development Corporation and our very own Thompson Meadows Industrial Park that we own. We successfully designed and constructed the first development corporation and self-owned headquarters building between 2024 and 2025. We designed, constructed, and launched this facility with 0 public funds. This is, to my knowledge, the only economic development headquarters office in the entire state of Missouri that has been constructed and is owned and located in their own industrial park. So it's really my peers throughout the entire state have asked questions. You guys are doing fantastic things. And that was made part by a huge financial donation from a longtime economic development board member, Mr. Bill Shoemake, who personally contributed money to this project. In addition to, but again, no public funds were used to construct the facility and launch it. So to kind of time lapse a little bit, April 15th, culverts were delivered, which is exciting for us. Put your bearings on, you see kind of in the horizon on the south, Stribling and Hobby Lobby face the south. We had our groundbreaking April 17th. There's Mr. Shoemake there in front of the flag and the bulldozer. April 28th, culverts started to get put in the ground. May 7th, things started to really take shape with site prep. June 10th, even more so taking shape with concrete being poured. June 24th, walls started going up, shell of walls. June 26th, stuff started to be enclosed. July 15th, the tower started to go up. August 28th, not only did the tower get completed, but interior work started on the building as well. We specifically invited local general contractors to bid on this project. We were very intentional about the GCs and the subcontractors that were involved in this project. September 2nd, we started to really take shape. They're September 15th, they're kind of cut off, but I was walking into the building one day during construction. There was this young gentleman. He couldn't have been over 19. And I said, so how long have you worked, for Septagon? Turns out he's third generation employee of Septagon. So it's a great story to say you can be a blue collar tradesman in this community and make a really good life at it. We have a lot of, we coordinated, managed engineering, design, contractors, subcontractors, construction, Rob Rawlings Architects, Allstate Consulting, Septagon, BMP, Home Heating and Air, Mid-America Turf, All Spec Metal Systems, Cabinetry Pros, Impact Science, Carver Electric, Remy Construction, Carlisle Van Lines, All Pro Electric, Dugans, and I'm probably missing some, but there's many, many more subs and companies that we worked with. I would be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge and really appreciate the utilities that were a huge part of the project. So I've been part of a huge $250 million development like Nucor, right? But building our own building has given me a profound respect for what companies go through as they're building on a small scale, what companies go through when they're building a new facility. So I've appreciated this process. Utilities, City of Sedalia, the water and sewer, I'm very thankful for that partnership, as well as Spectrum, the internet and the phone system support, and Evergy is our electrical provider. So stay tuned. In 2026, we will have a grand opening and a ribbon cutting for our new facility. You guys are always welcome. Anybody's welcome to come by. It's a public facility. At the same time, our development corporation, knowing that Thompson Meadows Industrial Park was positioned very well, it's a Missouri certified site. So, and when I say Thompson Meadows Industrial Park, it's the park immediately across 50 Highway from Menards. It's between Hobby Lobby and the western side of city limits, completely all in the city limits of Sedalia. So knowing that the Amazon project opened up an extra 85 acres of development, our private board, the Development Corporation, said, let's finish the industrial road that runs from Lode King up to Main Street so that we open up that extra 85 acres, not only for utilities, but also for road infrastructure. So that was approved by the Development Corporation. We successfully designed and managed that road extension, about 1,000 linear feet of extension throughout 2025. That 85 acres is already zoned industrial, so it really is shovel ready. There are only probably a dozen certified sites throughout the entire state of Missouri. So we are sitting on a huge potential for growth there. The property is owned by the Sedalia Development Corporation. No public funds were used for this major capital investment. The road is now complete. You guys can drive on it. We worked with Evergy. The electrical lines are now laid. The light poles are installed and already on as of today. So it is virtually complete. The entrance will be finished with a flagpole installation and all of the trees installed throughout spring of 2026. Our contractors, again, a lot of local contractors were involved in that project: BMP Excavating, Ramey, Markham's, Landscaping, and Evergy. Okay, so that's where we've been, where we are, where are we going, right? 2026, we have a tremendous amount of momentum. There's a lot of community potential for growth, a lot of growth for us to respond to. We have 12 active business expansion projects and 5 active business recruitment projects as we see today. We're also continuing to get our plant managers around the table with their peers and continuing that roundtable with facility tours and increased outreach. We will have the groundbreaking and ribbon cutting for the new Economic Development Office, as well as the Pelham Drive extension. With that Pelham Drive extension comes the opportunity for us to really leverage the business opportunity in front of us with the marketing of those 85 acres, along with the other sites that we're currently marketing. So we will continue to increase that marketing and efforts. You and I both know that we have a lot of business growth occurring. So organizationally, we're thinking about how do we add capacity? How do we proactively keep up with business growth and make sure that we're not, being responsive, we're being proactive in business recruitment, retention, and expansion here in the community. So if you've been here before, you've heard me say economic development is a team sport. We don't do this in a vacuum. It takes a lot of people around the table, a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of sleeves rolled up when the rubber meets the road. The city has always been a pivotal partner in the growth, and we very much appreciate it. Not just the financial partnership, but the entire partnership across the board. We couldn't do it with the support of the city. So very much appreciate that. We're appreciative of the financial contribution and would very much appreciate continued investment at the current level that it is today. With that, like I said, I talk fast and quick, so I'd be happy to take questions. And I just want to say thank you for the chance to be here and tell our story a little bit.
Yeah, any questions, council?
One, you mentioned 18 new businesses looking for locations. Is that 18 new businesses or are some of this 18 current businesses looking to relocate?
We have 18 existing businesses looking to potentially expand, and then 5 new businesses that don't currently have a location here. Great question. And that's pretty normal for our deal flow. We can chase 100 business recruitment projects, and we may only have 2 or 3 of those that come to fruition. You chase them all, right? But we also know that the majority of our business growth comes from existing companies. But to have a really diversified portfolio, you do business recruitment, retention, and expansion.
Thank you.
Any other questions, council? Is that entire 85 acres considered shovel-ready now?
Mhm.
Oh, wow. Very good.
It is. In fact, we are working on signage right now so that if you're driving by, you'll see, like if you're buying a house in a new subdivision, you could drive in, you could see where the different lots are. It's exactly what we're working on. So that new signage will be up. If you're driving by on 50, you'll be able to see those signs.
Very good.
Again, with signage paid with no public dollars.
All right. Well, thank you, Director Craig.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Jessica. Item number 2 for tonight is Bothwell Regional Health Center Annual Audit Report. Members of the audit team hired to perform the audit at Bothwell Regional Health Center will provide the results of their report.
Thank you, council members and mayor. My name is Lori Whiteman. I'm proud to be the CEO of Bothwell Regional Health Center. We are here today fulfilling our annual requirement that is in the city charter. And why we're talking in January about our audit, which our fiscal year ended the end of May. Typically, I'm here in September or October. Our audit was just completed and presented to our board the middle of December. And our finance department had suffered turnover in tremendous numbers, and those vacancies resulted in limitations to important financial reporting functions for extended period of time. Ovation was brought in early summer to establish new and enhanced financial reporting processes and procedures, and our board told our auditors, which are 4 of us, to take as much time as needed to complete the audit and really to leave no stone unturned. And so that's why we are talking about the Bothwell audit in January versus September or October. Before I ask Eric to come up and go over the audit results, I just want to talk about the numbers because all of our volume numbers have gone up since I spoke last year to you. We still remain very much an outpatient business. For every 1 hospital admission, we see 52.7 patients in our clinics. The total number of unique patients, so we're not double counting anybody, is close to 52,000. Clinic visits are close to 150,000. ED visits are up as well, close to 25,000. Surgeries were up to 3,200. And our donations from, I combined Bothwell Foundation and the John Homer Bothwell Trust Fund, were a little over $500,000 last year. You know, and at this point, I will call Eric Jones from Ovation up to go over the audit results. Where's your clicker?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As Lori said, my name is Eric Jones. I'm with Ovation Healthcare. We are a national shared service firm managing hospitals, doing revenue cycle, supply chain, all different aspects of IT operations within hospitals. As Lori mentioned, Ovation was brought in because of some of the deficiencies that were left after the vacancies of some key positions in the hospital's finance department. Originally, I was brought in to help out with the operating and capital budgeting process. During that time was when some of the things started to come to light in the audit process, that there were some key policies and procedures that were not being done correctly. In some cases, things weren't being done at all. So the three primary objectives for my team was to add bandwidth and expertise, establish and restore important processes and procedures, and then also to expand senior leadership teams and the board's visibility into operations and some of the data that is kind of lying dormant within the Meditech EHR system. So that's kind of what our focus was. As some of you may have heard, I'm going to talk about the statement of operations now, which is the income statement, if you will. So a summary of the revenues, expenses for the organization. And so from what was originally reported to what ended up in the audit process was a delta or an increase in the decrease in net position of $11 million. That $11 million I will stress that that is an accounting loss. So it doesn't necessarily distill down to cash because, as many of you know, the income statement does have non-cash items like depreciation and amortization on it. But all that being said, it was a very difficult year. As Lori mentioned earlier, the board did encourage Forvis to leave no stone unturned, and I think you'll find that that's indeed what they did, left no stone unturned. So I'll briefly go through the income statement and highlight total revenues for the organization ended up being $160 million. Our expenses exceeded revenues by about $15 million, which is what led to the operating loss of $15 million. For non-operating, there's the interest income from the investments in certificate of deposits that the hospital has, interest expense on the debt, and then the primary non-capital gain was the FEMA settlement that came in at $2.5 million. Now turning to, I always like to look at the statement of cash flows along with the statement of operations, because what that does is that removes any non-cash items like depreciation, amortization, and other things. So you can truly see, and to what the city charter calls for is basically a report on where did the money come in and where did it go, if you will. So I'll start with, it's segregated by cash flow from operation activities. So that's the day-to-day, opening the doors, taking care of patients. Cash flows from non-capital financing items. So again, the FEMA. So anything that would have come in, whether we had operated the hospital or not. And then capital related and financing activities. So anything we buy, equipment for the hospital as well as debt service that we do. And then the fourth thing is investing activities. So going back up to the operating activities, as you'll notice, despite our accounting expenses being more than our revenues, the receipts from our patients was actually $158 million. The receipts paid out on behalf of, payments to suppliers and contractors was $76 million. We paid our employees 87. And then we also have miscellaneous other receipts, other operating revenue, primarily the 340B program, which many of you may have heard of. That's a program where the manufacturers of the pharmaceuticals give us discounts, and then we can also pass those along as revenue to our patients. Looking at, so going back real quickly, actually, despite as tough of a year as it was, operations, we actually did have a net cash gain of $1.2 million. We did gain 3 million from the non-financing items, again, primarily the FEMA settlement. Looking at the capital and other financing related activities, those are primarily the principal and interest and debt service on our leases payable, the notes payable, what little debt we do have, and then some subscription liabilities, which is basically where we pay for the use of our electronic health record and the value of those. And then you'll notice the purchase of capital assets. That was one of the largest non-operating outlays, was purchase of capital assets. Interest on our deposits from the certificate of deposits. We did move money out of the certificate of deposits into operating cash of 2.6, and then purchase of some additional certificate of deposit. So all in all, the decrease in cash from 2024 to 2025 was a negative $1.2 million. And I'll pause for a moment. Any questions on anything I've covered so far?
Does council have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Moving on to industry benchmarks. I'd like to preface this by saying all of these key metrics with respect to industry benchmarks for rural healthcare and quite frankly, for the healthcare industry in America as a whole, I will say all of these are under stress for any health system, regardless of their size. For Bothwell, for the year ended May 31st, 2025, days cash on hand remains stressed as it did last year because below that 50-day threshold. Average age of plant, which many of you may not be familiar with that term, that's basically a metric that we take accumulated depreciation and divide it by depreciation expense. That number comes out generally between 6 to 18, can be even higher in some cases, but the thought is that the average age of plant, as it gets over 12 years old, you're not investing enough money back into the capital of the organization. The bond markets will tell you that anytime a hospital gets north of 20 to 30, that's sort of a downward spiral, if you will. You can't invest enough fast enough to remain competitive in the marketplace. I will say, even though we are stressed in that category, one of the things that we've noticed in some of our detailed analysis is that some of the accumulated depreciation are for assets that have been fully depreciated that should probably be written off of the system. So your numerator to that equation will come down, and so your average age of plant would be lower than it technically calculates to today. All that said, we are still, even in that situation, we're still in sort of a stress situation. The one area relative to the industry that is sort of a plus for the health system, and I think foundational to us going forward in a positive light, is that we have very little long-term debt. That is the strength of the balance sheet, quite frankly, right now, that we do have so little bad debt or long-term debt. Debt service coverage, because we did have a negative margin for the year, that did drop from the stable category to the stressed. Debt service coverage, again, just the cash available at the end of the year divided by the debt that we pay. And you always want that to be over 1, because in the event that it's less than 1, you are burning cash technically. EBITDA is earnings before interest, depreciation, taxes, and depreciation. That is an acronym way of saying what is the cash flow of the organization. So basically taking your net income, adding back depreciation and other non-cash items. And again, we were below the industry average on that. Any questions specific to the industry averages at this point?
Any questions, council?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
When you mentioned depreciation, the building itself is depreciated out?
not fully depreciated. I don't think the building, I'll have to look at that specifically, but it generally, buildings are depreciated at 40 years. And so I think in addition to the original building, there have been additions to that since that time. I don't think it's fully depreciated.
All right.
Good question, though. Mostly what's on there. I mean, obviously there's land, but that doesn't get depreciated. There's building, but mostly equipment.
Okay.
So, thank you for that. Anything else? If not, so our material weaknesses that the auditors identified, categorically, they're basically balance sheet reconciliations are not being done timely, or if at all in some situations. I mentioned the turnover in the staff earlier. Some of the staff that left, the processes that they did on a regular basis were, for the lack of a better term, orphaned. It didn't get picked up by the existing staff. And quite frankly, in their defense, I don't think some of them were, had the right training and skills and cross-training to be able to do those functions. So once it was discovered that they didn't have the bandwidth to do it internally, that was what kind of prompted the call when senior leadership team called my firm. And the other thing was related to the valuation. One of the biggest assets, aside from the building on our balance sheet, is the value of the AR that we have. That process also broke down, meaning that during the year, what was reported to senior leadership team had overvalued the net AR and the net collectible cash. Now, the one thing about the audit process is we do have the benefit of time and looking forward. And if they said we were going to collect 28 million and we only collected 20 million, well, that's an automatic write down of 8 million. It wasn't quite that large, but for illustrative purposes, that's basically what happened. So, like I say, orphan processes and procedures, which my firm has already started to work on restoring, and then just lack of a post-close process. And what I mean by that is accountants, when they do their journal entries and they post them and we move forward, it's always good to have a look back process to say, to look at what the effect was of the posting. And in some instances, you should be, you should have an analysis in place that tells you when something's wrong. In one of the cases for the net patient accounts receivable was, in fact, some AR that got overlooked because someone didn't go back and see that AR did not get plugged into the worksheet. So that's just an example. Moving on, I think you've seen this in previous presentations of this audit. The bottom line over time, this is not necessarily unique. You could take the name off of this slide and put most other rural health systems, and that trend, unfavorable as it is, like I say, not uncommon. In the post-COVID era, I mean, we've always had challenges with the reimbursements that we get from Medicare, Medicaid, and the insurance companies keeping pace with inflation. But what we noticed post-COVID was that inflation pressures started off in the double digits and are still kind of in the high single digits, which, the increases that we get from payers these days simply doesn't cover that. So despite all that all the bad news, there are some elements of good news in the audit. As I mentioned earlier, the hospital, with the exception of low liquidity, does have a strong balance sheet because of the lack of long-term liabilities or long-term debt. It is an operations turnaround, which just basically means we need to look at the health system as a whole, find the more profitable parts, and make some tough decisions because we've been saying this for decades now across the industry. All hospitals can't be all things to all people. We have to know what we do well. We have to do those, and we can't get into every service line. Would like to. This is a, relatively medium-sized community compared to large metropolitan areas, but I think it's got the critical mass necessary to support a health system for sure. I will tell you, some of the health systems I go in have 5,000 people in the community in the service area, and their balance sheets are much worse than this one. So, are some areas of good news in this audit. As Lori mentioned earlier, we did, the board did encourage the auditors to leave no stone unturned, and we participated with them collaboratively. About once or twice a week, we would meet with them, take another section and dig deeper, which is kind of where some of the more the larger adjustments came from. Is we said, yeah, second, third, fourth look, we probably need to be a little bit more conservative in some of our entries. I will tell you, and I've been reporting this to the board the last few weeks, as a health system, the volumes and revenues are growing. That is probably outside of the long-term debt being low. The fact that your health system is growing and the revenues and the cash flows are growing is a positive thing, and that's another thing in your favor. 340B revenues, I mentioned that earlier. That's relative to the pharmaceuticals that the organization has. Contract labor is coming down. As you know, we had to deal with contract labor quite a bit during the COVID era. The senior leadership team does have a financial recovery plan in place and are starting to execute that initiative specifically, and we're seeing the results of that. That is one positive. If you look at the current income statements, we're starting to see some downward pressure. The pension plan's in good shape. The investment performance has been positive for the mix that it has. Accounting and the finance department, as I mentioned earlier, is in a full restructuring, for the lack of a better term, and we're assisting in that. We've also hired a new financial leader, and continuing to onboard my staff and bring on more people to support. As I told the board at the time, it'll be a 9 to 12 month process to get us completely where we need to be, which should be around September next year. We'll have the audit hopefully wrapped up, if not materially wrapped up. So making progress there. Outpatient population health strategy is doing well. I think Bothwell is going to be a leader in those things going forward. And the organization remains independent and right now control of its future. There was no going concern, which is basically an accounting term that the auditors like to use when they don't think the organization can pay its debts in the coming year. Fortunately, we do have low enough debt that was not an issue from a going concern opinion. And as I said, that low debt load that you have is the key, because over my career, I've dealt with a lot of health systems that were in bond covenant default. The one thing I'll tell you about those situations is you always have an extra board member at your table, and that's the bondholders. That is one very positive thing. All right, I'll close real quickly. So through December, our admissions over the same period prior year is actually up 3.6%. We actually budgeted for a negative 1% increase for the budget year. So we're actually well ahead of that with the December performance. Newborn admissions up 16%. Our inpatient length of stay, or how quickly we get our inpatients in and out, is actually down. That's a good thing for us, because the quicker we can get patients out safely, that also helps to keep our expenses lower from a nursing standpoint. And then our cash flow from inpatient is right on pace with where it was last year. We have seen some drops in acuity, which kind of impacts our reimbursement, but we're kind of holding our position year over year on inpatient. On outpatient overall, we've grown about 3.3%. And then our cash collections on outpatient, which is about 80% of our overall business, is up 5.6%. So doing very well there. So I'll just close my comments at this point with so far this year, we're performing much better. I don't suspect we're going to have the same result in 25 or in 26 that we did in 25. So I'll pause. Any additional questions? Happy to.
Council have any questions for her?
Just curious, you've spoken of a turnover an estimate. Can you give us an estimate of that turnover number that you're just referring to?
In the span of 2 years, there's been about 4 members, but about 3 of them left in the course of the period that impacted the accounting for the fiscal year 25. So that would have been June of 24 through May of 25. So about 3 members, one of which I would say was very detail oriented and really had a lot of the processes kind of held closely to the vest, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that when you lose that person, you lose that institutional knowledge and that discipline. Thank you for your question.
Councilman Robinson, did you have a question?
And you said this year, you mean like since May?
Yes, sir. Yeah. June through December, 6 months of volume, we are ahead on both a cash flow basis. So what we're collecting for receipts, but then also for the volumes as well. As I said, like from my perspective, health systems that can't grow from year to year, that's one of the precursors to distress, especially in this environment. If your reimbursements are going down and your volumes are going down, that's a recipe for trouble.
The accounting irregularities or whatever you want to call them that occurred that you all found, were they not present? I wonder how we didn't see them before.
I think they were building for a period of time, and then it kind of hit a point to where it just grew to where, you know, it could have been something as simple as, well, these balance sheet reconciliations aren't being done monthly, or they're not being done quarterly, to which I think was the case even going back into 2024. But what I think happened after the loss of some of those key positions is now you have things like prepaid assets aren't being amortized on a monthly basis. They're getting pushed aside just because people can't get to it or don't know to get to it. Another instance was the fixed asset ledger wasn't being maintained. And so what we were depreciating off was not as accurate. So as we added assets and paid for those assets, it was on the fixed asset ledger of Meditech, our EHR system, but it wasn't making its way to the GL or to be reported in the financials. So that's one key. So it was, I think there were things in 2024 that the auditors probably passed on because they just weren't yet causing enough materiality. But as I said, I think it became acute when some of those more detailed processes kind of fell off to the side.
And there was no oversight to catch it after that.
I won't say there wasn't oversight. I just don't think, I don't think they were catching it timely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions, council? No? Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so what we are focused on now is expense reduction, because when you have expenses going up faster than revenue, the obvious lever is reducing expenses. So Eric already talked about that we are working our way of getting contract labor and replacing them with permanent. Almost all in nursing. There is one radiology contract labor, but we are down to 12 and continuing to go down as we hire and replace with permanent. Decreasing overhead expenses. My next slide is going to talk a little bit about one of the tactics on that. We are also doing a thorough review on all the thousands of contracts we have, of are we still using it, even though we're still paying for it? Should we be canceling? And when was the last time we put this out for an RFP to get a better price? We've already made changes to our PTO plan, and we are doing service line discernments. So we will also be focused on continued growth, looking at making sure that we are getting paid correctly according to the contracts we have, improving the contracts we have with payers, and increasing our shared savings, and that's in our population health. So making sure that we are getting really good at keeping people out of the expensive places like the ED and the hospital, and sharing those savings with governmental payers or insurance companies. And we are also exploring new sources of revenue. When 78% of how you get paid doesn't cover your costs, you're not going to make that up in volume. So you really need to identify alternative sources of revenue. One of the areas that we're in phase one of, there's 18 hospitals in Missouri that are independent that have come together. We haven't even really officially agreed on what our name is. I'm using the placeholder of Show Me Independent Hospital Network. There's 18 of us that have signed to be founding members, and we have engaged a group called Sabolo. They're not-for-profit that has helped independent hospitals in 8 other states form an independent hospital network. Together, we have 1.5 billion in patient revenue. So we get more attention when you're going to buy things, either in volume, but we are forming a clinically integrated network so that we can form our own accountable care organization and negotiate with payers. We can together work to improve the quality of care so that we can have all of the shared savings that we receive from governmental payers. We're just in the very beginning stages, though. We hope to have the legal entity formed by March, and we all have the same goal of remaining proudly independent, but be able to leverage our strength as a networking group. So more to come on that, but this is the way that we see that we can move from the very bottom of the healthcare food chain, which is a rural independent hospital, more towards the, lower third where other health systems are, and even higher if we get really good at sharing services so we can lower our overall overhead costs, because all 18 of us are duplicating certain services 18 different times, and we could probably do it more effectively and efficiently by sharing those services. So that's the very beginning stages, but we are going to be joining several other states in the country that have done that, because there's other hospitals like us that want to remain independent and still be around to talk about it. Since we spoke last, we have expanded specialties, new providers, and our residency program remains the first and still only family medicine residency program in the state. We have expanded in all of those areas of sports medicine, cancer care, family medicine, internal medicine. And we recently expanded our hours in the walk-in clinic off on the east side. So our residency program graduated their first two residents last summer. One will be returning to us, Dr. Pendergraft, after she finishes her OB fellowship. Our two that will be graduating this summer, one will be staying with us, Dr. Ferris, who will be staying in, going to our clinic in Warsaw. So we're very excited about that. And we are right in the middle of our second year of a very, I think, successful program with Smith Cotton, the Queen City Caps. We are the sponsor of the healthcare strand. We have close to 30 high schoolers and junior and seniors that are there all year. One group in the morning, one group in the afternoon. And I really think it's a win-win. We are getting a fresh set of eyes and ideas and getting projects done, and they're getting firsthand experience and look at all the different careers that are available in healthcare. And hot off the press, just this week, and you will find in the congressional record that Bothwell is the recipient of community project funding. We applied for this through Congressman Mark Alford's office in last April and received word that it was signed by the president and appeared in the congressional record this week. We will be receiving $750,200, and it's really to establish a rural innovation hub. Bothwell is the location of the hub, but it's really working with hospitals in District 4, Senator Alford's district. The steering committee, if you will, is us, Western Missouri and Warrensburg, Golden Valley and Clinton, and Citizens Memorial in Bolivar. But we are all working with a group called BioSTL that's out of St. Louis, and they really match clinical issues or business issues with global innovators. And they are here. The funding really funds horsepower or manpower from BioSTL to set up, in essence, research projects to see if the innovative solution actually does what it's supposed to do, how much it costs, and can it be replicated widely. So we're very excited to start that. You never know if you're going to get community funding. So we've just had one initial meeting with BioSTL, and now it'll be kicking off. We don't expect to actually receive the money for, we were told, anywhere from 2 to 6 months. So we will be planning and starting. I think it'll be very exciting to see what happens and the improvements we can have for our patients in rural areas. So more to come on that. I'd ask Eric to come up if we have additional questions about that or anything.
Any questions, council? Doesn't look like it.
Okay, thank you,
No.
everybody.
Our third presentation for tonight is our revenue collection trends by Ms. Jessica Pyle.
So we're looking at the second chart of numbers, reporting November sales at the store locations. Net sales and use tax is higher fiscal year to date, almost $372,000 or 2.3% higher. We had budgeted a 4% growth, so we are off budget by around $274,000. Marijuana tax, that's the additional 3% sales tax that started at cash registers in October of 2023. This is our first fiscal year comparison to the prior year, and so far fiscal year to date, we are higher around $28,000. Franchise tax is lower fiscal year to date, primarily due to the electric tax, which is down $496,000 fiscal year to date. Transportation tax is higher fiscal year to date due to gasoline tax, which is higher by 10.5%, Vehicle sales higher by 4%, and then vehicle fees fiscal year to date this month are flat. The property tax payments, the majority of those payments come to us from the county in December and January. And you can see a big difference at the end of December for those payments. We usually get 2 payments in December and we only got 1. So expecting that January we'll get more payments than we have in the past years. So the next month we'll see how those collections are coming in better. It'll be a better comparison to last year. Any questions?
Any questions, council?
Yeah, I think it would be helpful if we have these numbers, but they just kind of appear as numbers without relation to anything else. And if we could have an overview of how they relate to the funds to the different funds that they feed into and where we've been in the past, that would be really helpful, and where we're going with them.
Okay.
Very good. Anyone else? Thank you, Director Pyle.
Thank you, Jessica. Presentation number 4 is a finance department is amending a job description. Excuse me. And this calls for an ordinance.
I will call for the reading of bill number 2026-5.
Bill number 2026-5, an ordinance amending existing classifications and job descriptions for various positions to allow career mapping for finance department staff.
Second.
I have a motion and second for second reading of bill number 2026-5. Do I have any council discussion regarding that bill? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Bill number 2026-5, an ordinance amending existing classifications and job descriptions for various positions to allow career mapping for finance department staff.
Second.
I have a motion and second for the final passage of bill number 2026-5. Any council discussion regarding that? Having heard none, roll call, please.
Franklin,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Ames,
Yes.
Scribner,
Yes.
Bogus,
Yes.
Hiller,
Yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Foster.
Yes.
All in favor.
Motion passes.
Our 5th item tonight is a budget amendment and quote regarding Spyglass. After accounting for documented savings, a budget amendment is required to properly fund the remaining costs and ensure accurate accounting transparency and alignment of the account with actual project expenditures.
All right, as this is a budget amendment, we have a resolution and then 2 bills in relation to it. We'll call for the reading of resolution 2157 first.
Resolution 2157, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sedalia, Missouri, stating facts and reasons for the necessity to amend and increase the city's annual budget for fiscal year 2026.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second on resolution 2157. Do I have any council discussion regarding that resolution?
Mayor Dawson, I'm going to recuse myself on this one.
Very good. Anyone else? Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. We'll now call for the reading of bill number 2026-6.
Bill number 2026-6, an ordinance amending the budget for the fiscal year 2025-2026 regarding IT communication services consulting.
Second reading.
Second.
I have a motion and second for the second reading of bill number 2026-6. Do I have any council discussion regarding that bill? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Bill number 2026-6, an ordinance amending the budget for the fiscal year 2025-2026 regarding IT communication services consulting.
Final passage.
Second.
I have a motion and second for the final passage of bill number 2026-6. Do I have any council discussion? Having heard none, roll call, please.
Robinson,
Yes.
Ames,
Yes.
Scribner,
Yes.
Bogus,
Yes.
Hiller,
Yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Franklin. You have 7 yes, 1 abstain.
Very good. Motion passes. We'll now call for the reading of bill number 2026-7.
Bill number 2026-7, an ordinance approving and accepting a quote for Spyglass consulting fee.
Second reading?
Second.
A motion and second for the second reading of bill number 2026-7. Any council discussion regarding the bill that's on the floor? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Bill number 2026-7, an ordinance approving and accepting a quote for Spyglass consulting fee.
Second.
I have a motion and second for the final passage of bill number 2026-7. Do I have any council discussion regarding that bill? Having heard none, roll call, please.
Ames,
Yes.
Scribner,
Yes.
Bogus,
Yes.
Hiller,
Yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Franklin,
Abstain.
Robinson.
Yes.
You have 7 yes, 1 abstain.
Motion passes. And with that, thank you, Chairwoman Bogus. Up next, we have Public Works. Chairwoman Franklin, you have the floor.
First item up tonight will be Sedalia Parks Director Amy Epley to provide her strategic plan presentation.
Thank you. Since Parks and Recreation is a little bit different than other departments in the city, I like to just kind of give you guys a recap of this fiscal year, even though we still have about 20% left in the fiscal year. And then at the end, I'll kind of hit the next fiscal year of where we're headed and what we're doing. So for this past year, we've added new credit card readers for improved customer convenience. We've seen a very large, strong participation in instructional youth sports, a continued growth for youth volleyball, and we celebrated club volleyball's 5th anniversary, which is pretty exciting. We're very fortunate. Every community is different, but we do have a lot of sports organizations that run their programs, and we either help facilitate them or they work with the school district. So a lot of sports like basketball, football, girls softball, soccer, we facilitate those sports. So we start at a younger age so that those kids can do something up to about 5, and then they go into those organizations. We really strive to work with a partnership and not compete with them. So since Paul Clover offers, soccer for older kids, we let them do that, and then we kind of hit those little kids. So a lot of this, when we talk about, and we're talking a lot about volleyball, that's because there's no organization that does volleyball. So it's something missing in the community that then we take and do. But we try to, again, partner with organizations to strengthen our community instead of compete with them. So I want to hit events and programs. We had over 2,000 participants in registered programs, and that's over 25 programs that we offered. So those are registered programs. These aren't special events or free events. These are actually registered events. You guys can kind of see the participation on this side. A lot of those programs, come from all over. This isn't just Sedalia that comes to these programs. We're getting, a variety of different communities that come to participate. And then we know that when they're coming here to participate in these programs, they're stopping and shopping and eating and everything else. So not only are we serving our community by offering great programs and activities, but we're also helping generate revenue for our community as well, which, as you guys know, is very important for parks since we operate a lot by sales tax. This past year, Light Up Liberty, we expanded. We're at over 100 displays. This happens, yes, we do have some money in our budget, but it happens mostly because of sponsorship. So we're very fortunate that we continue to do this. We'll be hitting 5 years of Light Up Liberty. And if you guys drove through the park this year, you can kind of see how big it's getting, and it's really growing. And we do have a 10-year master plan in place for Light Up Liberty. So we're almost halfway there. Our maintenance staff, I have to say kudos to them. They work really hard to make this happen. I'm sure there's some days that they're shaking their head thinking, what the heck are we doing? But once they get it all up and they drive through, they can kind of see the benefits and how much the community loves and enjoys it. Liberty Stadium, we renovated, improved, but we're sure to keep its charm. This project is one that, as Matthew knows, has kind of been a headache. John and I and Matt Harris have really been pushing. This project should have been completed a year ago. We're still not complete, but we're hoping by the end of February that project is complete. It is one that has kind of messed up our budget for this year. Last year, we were about over $800,000 positive in the budget because we didn't spend that on the stadium. So this year we have all those expenses that should have been out of last fiscal year that are now in this fiscal year. So hopefully we'll get the stadium wrapped up. State Fair plays at the stadium on February 10th. So we hope to have everything completed by then and actually have a
huge celebration. So excited for that. But again, this is just a huge statement for our community. Even if you're not a baseball advocate and lover, it's a huge charm for our community. It brings in so many people to our community on weekends. We have over 1,000 baseball games throughout our park system, which is pretty impressive for the size of our community. Youth sports I wanted to hit. You guys can kind of see up here on how many teams we're serving and what the Tanner does for the sports and everything. But you can see participation. You can see the age. A lot of people think sports for parks is youth. It's not. It's everywhere you're looking at. We're starting kids at 3 years old in like bitty basketball and going all the way up to, we have pickleball participants and stuff that are in their 80s. So we push and we're always trying to do new things, keep up with the trends and what's going on. So you guys can see by those numbers up there, we have large participation in sports. And those are just the sports that we actually handle in-house. So it's not talking about organizations or tournaments or anything else that are coming in. Many of you guys were at the ribbon cutting for the pickleball. We added 6 new pickleball courts to Liberty Park. It has been well received and we're already getting, when are you going to be building more? So it's a great thing to see and hear. And that is in our plan when we revamp over at Centennial Pool. Heckert Community Center, here's numbers. I like to kind of share the numbers of where we're at and how we continue to grow, but the Heckert continues to grow every single year. We're just getting more members in, more walkers. We haven't hit that plateau yet. So we had a little over 4,000 new members. We had over 200,000 check-ins. So those are people coming in and paying or have memberships and they're checking in. A little over 36,000 day passes were purchased. Silver Sneakers Renew Active. That's participants that can use their insurance to use the facility. We have a little over 1,100 members that use that. So they don't have to pay. Their insurance reimburses us, but we only get paid if they come and use the facility. So we have to really, just because we have 1,100, if they're not coming in, we don't get anything in return. So we really push them to make sure they're coming in. There is a max of what we can't get more than what our membership is charged. So we really push those seniors and others that have the Renew Active and Silver Sneakers to make sure they're coming in monthly so that we are receiving the benefits of their insurance. We had over 940 birthday parties and rentals and lock-ins. So when you see those numbers up there, you can easily see that over 940 rentals at a minimum, they're bringing in 10 people. So that is a huge number of people that are coming in. Those numbers are not included in the numbers you see above. And then we had over 3,600 children come from school groups to visit the Heckert Community Center as well. On the fitness side, walkers, that's free, so anyone can use it. You don't have to live in Sedalia. You just have to check in at the front desk, you get a wristband, and you can walk at any time that we are open. And last year we had over 27,000 walkers come and use the facility. We had 223 personal training. We offered over 30 fitness classes for different levels. All of those 30 classes, so it's 30 different classes, if it's kickboxing, yoga, Pilates, but we had 4,780 fitness classes you could come to. And then you can see the numbers for our 5Ks that we offer as well. So the Heckert is busy, and I am very, very proud of the Heckert and what the staff does there. Last year, Katy Park, we opened the playground there. That was something that we pushed in front of Liberty Park's playground, just because of some projects that needed to get finished in Liberty that we weren't able to do. So we instead did Katy Park, and it just celebrated its 50th anniversary. So it worked that we were able to kind of bump those two for each other. On the aquatic side, I wanted to share some numbers with aquatics that Claire put together, but private swim lessons, we had 872 lessons, 376 group lessons, those individuals that are coming to group lessons. Over 70 lifeguards were certified or recertified. 125 people bought pool passes, and we hosted over 6 free sponsored swims. And then you can see we had numerous programs that are just at the pool. Those are cardboard boat races, aqua camp. So we're really proud of those. And again, we're very fortunate that we have the Heckert, that we can be offering programs now all year long. Esports, besides volleyball, esports is our largest, fastest growing, that in pickleball. We just kicked off a 5-year sponsorship with Fastwire. We hosted over 26 tournaments and camps, over 220 hours of practice. There were over 574 games that were registered. And then you can see Jeff is taught also outside of esports, but we're starting to get into teaching others in the community. So he started just a smartphone users. It's a lot of seniors that come to it, or they're coming in now and doing privates with Jeff on how to use their iPad or their computer or different things that they have at their homes as well. So we just kicked that off a little over a month ago and had 37 participants. So it's good to have Jeff, who's got some knowledge that he can share. Esports is growing so fast that they will be at Memory Lanes is where their new home was going to be. So that is one of the fastest growing sports. I would love to say I know a lot about it, but there's no gaming in my world. But it is a huge benefit to our community. These are kids that usually aren't participating in baseball, softball. They're very knowledgeable, and it's so rewarding. I've received more letters from parents and grandparents that said their kid has finally found their home. They've made friends. One grandmother sent a very nice letter in that her grandson is 13 years old and had never been invited to a birthday party. And since esports, he's been invited to 4 birthday parties. So those things are really good for us to be able to see that we're always trying to hit the whole community, just not one area. Savannah and Shauna and her crew, they do an amazing job. This is our landscaping side. We, if you guys don't know, we take care of over 100 flower beds throughout the community. So those are your welcome signs when you come in. When you come outside of City Hall across the street, landscaping crew takes care of those. And then throughout the parks as well. And again, over 100 flower beds. And then she also does the Monarch. We are just celebrated 5 years at Vermont Park for being a Monarch city. And there's only 140 cities in the United States that are registered. So that's pretty exciting for us to be able to talk about that. Shauna does a great job. She's the only full-time landscape employee, and the rest of hers are part-time employees. This year we launched out Popsicle Patrol with the Sedalia Police Department. It was something new that we did, but it was a good way for departments to work together to promote and build strength in our community. So the next slide I'm going to go to, I'll talk to you guys about our rec van. But this was a really great opportunity. The police department spoke very highly of it. We got great feedback from the community, but we were able to do these at different parks and at the pool as well and at the Heckert. And then it was just a free, you came with a popsicle, you got a popsicle, you got to talk with police officers and with park staff, learn about more. We could get feedback from them of what we're doing well in the community and what they'd like to see that we don't offer through the Parks Department. So it was a great win-win. Savannah and Lindsay did an excellent job. And again, I can't say enough to the police department for what they did and how well it went. Our Squirrel Recon van helped us with that Popsicle Patrol. This was one thing staff has had on their wish list for years. And we were able to find this on government deals. It was a cheap van from a water department in Kansas, way under budget than what we were looking at spending. So when we found it, we kind of jumped on it, and Jessica was great to work with us to work on the bids so that we could make sure that we could get it. And then we wrapped it. But this gives us the chance now. We just got it this summer, but now we can actually take the van to other areas in the community that maybe the kids don't have the opportunity to walk to a park. We can bring the fun to them. So last year we did this to a couple different neighborhoods where we brought some games, coloring, water games, different things, and get feedback from them. So this is one thing we're really looking at. We're looking already at for the next fiscal year to even partner with different nursing homes and see how we can do to work together with that. So we're really excited to have this. And then it also helps us with concession supplies and taking things back and forth. So it's been a great investment for us. Other big things that aren't huge to maybe the community, but Cloverdale Lagoons, we repaired both of those out at Cloverdale. Those are not lagoons like Liberty Lagoon. Those are lagoons that you know what the word means. So those are things that we have to do and we have to have. But someone called me about that, wanted to know where the lagoon was at Cloverdale. And I'm like, no, it's not the same as Liberty, but we just did them in the same year. So Liberty Pool Slide, we resurfaced, repaired and repainted. So we are set on that slide for the remaining of Liberty Pool life. So that was a good investment and something that we did that was not expected in this fiscal year, but it was something that we needed to do and get done. And we've ran into it every year where if we don't get it done, when the pool closes, everybody is trying to get their stuff done. And it seems like the pool is already pushing us to a close date, and it depends on the weather. So we were able to get that done this fall. We had a little over $100,000 to replace the boiler at Convention Hall. Again, that wasn't in the budget, but that needed to be done, and it was something that had to be done. We hired Lindsay as our new program specialist to hit us in that area of seniors and other programs and events, and she's just hit the ground running and doing a fabulous job. And then again, we worked with the city and we had the Jenny Jane Stadium historic marker, which I think is really important to showcase as well. You guys know the Liberty Lagoon repaired and restored. Again, this was a project that we thought was 2 to 3 years off in the horizon, and we had to get it done this year. It was just really starting to become an issue. So again, that was something that had to be taken out of reserve. It was not in the budget. We weren't planning on doing it. I'm glad we did it. I will have to say that the company that we used is probably the best company that I've ever worked with. They said what they were going to do. They stuck with the budget, and they were done sooner than we expected. So a fabulous job to them. And then the train, Liberty Land train is back up and running. We've already started to kind of market what we're doing for next year, looking at school groups and everything. So again, this is a jewel to the community. Generations have rode on it. It's one thing that we kind of took a little heat, but we had to get it done and we had to get it done correctly. And it's just not anyone that can do it. So we're excited to have that back up and running. We used it in December, and then again, we'll use it come this spring for school groups, and then we'll kick it off again from Memorial Day to Labor Day on Saturdays and Sundays for anyone to come and ride. It's $3, and you can ride it the whole time period for $3. And then the exciting groundbreaking of Memory Lanes, and we anticipate to open in November of next year. Before I get into fiscal year 27, so we kind of talked a lot about those things, but I just want to let you guys know, because you don't see all these our budget or hear everything that's going on. But this was a year for us that we did have to hit reserve. I've talked about some of those line items that we had to do. So in this next fiscal year of 27, we will just be trying to break even. That is what our goal is. Our budget is to break even. And then the following years when we get back to where we're trying to put money back in reserve for other projects. So we still have the reserve, but it was the first year where I had to take money out of reserve. We knew that was happening with, it was just one thing after another, the boiler, the slide, the lagoon, the lagoons at Cloverdale. So there were several things that we had to do that we weren't planning on doing, but we were very, very fortunate that we have a good reserve that we were able to complete those projects. So now looking forward to fiscal year 27, we've been talking about this for a long time, but a fee increase. When we went to the taxpayers and asked for the yes for the Heckert Community Center, minimum wage was $8.60. It's now $15. That's a huge jump for us. We've been pushing it off of not making an increase, but Park Board, made a decision that we were going to increase it. Originally was going to be January 1st. They decided in September that we would wait until the new fiscal year of April 1, but there will be an increase for all fees at the Heckert Community Center, and then looking next year at other programs and events that the Parks Department offers as well. So trails resurfaced, repaired, and expanded at Katy and Centennial Park. A new playground at Liberty Park, and that will just kind of wait. We're waiting till the stormwater repairs there on Liberty Park Boulevard. And once that gets completed, then we'll move forward with the new playground at Liberty. If you guys have ever used the playground at Liberty, it's probably been overdue for 10 years. We just kind of keep pushing it off. But we need that stormwater because in certain areas, if it rains a lot, it's very swampy. It needs to be leveled out a little bit more. So we'll wait until that is completed, and then we'll move forward with Liberty Park Playground. Improvements to Hubbard Ball Field, that's the backstop. If you walk over there, it's very uneven. There's no shade, so we'll be adding new shade and then putting some concrete work and leveling it so it's a little bit safer. And Hubbard Ball Field is still used. A lot of people ask if it's not, but we use it for our program. On the weekends, if you drive through, it's well used as well. So this is, again, is something that needs to be done, and we're eager and excited to do that. We will also be working on a plan for ball field lights, both at Cloverdale and Centennial. That is going to be a project that's over $1 million, and we've got to figure out how much is it going to be and how are we going to afford it and how are we going to move forward and how are we going to phase it in. So working as a team, just trying to figure out and decide, but that's a lot of money. But we're getting to the point that lights are going to need to be repaired. We're already trying to put Band-Aids on different things, but we need to look long-term and figure out what's the right thing to do and how are we going to do it and have a good plan in place. Security cameras in parks, phase 2. You guys know we spend so much money on vandalism and different things, so we'll be moving into phase 2 with cameras. We're not exactly sure how we're going to be doing that, but we have a meeting next week with IT, but we will hit that phase 2 and start installing more cameras in the park. Centennial revamp, that's changing Centennial Pool into the pickleball courts and splash pad. But looking at phase 1, which will be demolition, John Simmons has written a grant for that So a lot of that's going to depend on if we get the grant or not and how fast we move forward and where we go from that. And then last but not least is opening of memory lanes in November of 2026. That'll be 4 new full-time staff that we hire, but those are the only new staff for full-time that we will be adding to the Parks Department. So that's kind of a quick overview of the next fiscal year. I'm happy to answer any questions about this year, next year, or any other questions you may have.
Does council have any questions?
I've got a couple
Sure,
for you.
go for it.
I'm glad to hear about the ball field and improvement at Hubbard Park. Are we also talking about bleachers there for as well?
Yes,
Okay.
bleachers with shade.
Bleachers and shade. Okay.
Correct.
And as far as the popsicle patrol, is it possible for us to get a schedule of where they're going to be? I had a lot of people that said, well, we didn't even know they were going to be there, and so the kids missed it. And
Yeah, we'll definitely have something a little more advertised now. Again, this was one thing, it's like the director saw something, I was like, let's do this. And then we just made a phone call, and then you know how it happens. And so we really plugged it into July, which is National Parks and Recreation Month. So we'll look at be doing it next year more, but I'll be sure to be able, Savannah, send you those weekly reports too of what's going on. But we'll get a calendar posted online as well with
okay,
everything.
that'd be great. And then the final question is, there's been questions about parents having to buy a day pass because the kids are coming in and they're swimming, and the parents, of course, have to chaperone or watch over them. And they're like, why are we paying $5 or whatever just to sit there and watch our kids? And I'm like, I don't know, but you
Yeah.
need to watch your children.
Yes.
So is that something that we've looked at, something that you could look at as far as that's concerned, with them not actually swimming, the adults, but they're just there to make sure that their child has some.
Yeah, we get this a lot, and it's hard for us to patrol like who's coming and who's going and who says they're gonna do it and who's not. And the other thing I always like to say, you know, we try to keep our prices as low and affordable. And I know still things are tight, but we do keep our prices as low. But too, when you're coming in just to use it, you're taking a chair from somebody else that's using the facility that paid. You're using the restroom, you're using the water. So there's a lot of other things that go with it. So for us, we've done that with the outdoor pool in the Heckert, that we just charge everybody to get in. And I know I had little kids. I remember you just sit on the side and you watch them and you're like, you have to pay. But, you know, even if you go to the movies with them or anything else. So that's our reason that we do it. And a lot of times when there's first aid and stuff, it's not even somebody that's participating. It's somebody that's sitting on the side or something that we still have to take care of. So we've looked into that a lot. I know not everyone likes it, but we just felt like that's fair across the board. And it's less stress and less hassle for the staff to have to figure out who's paid and who hasn't. And unfortunately, people abuse that. So it's one of those that everyone has to do it then.
All right, thanks.
Yes, when I was out getting signatures to run for reelection, I had several residents talk about Vermont Park. And
Yes.
I don't see much.
Yeah, so there's not a whole lot on Vermont Park. And part of that is, if you wouldn't know, from 2016, the Parks Department put in a little over $1.6 million into that park. So it was a big chunk at one time to revamp that. So we still have added little things of redoing the basketball court and everything else. And that's one that's the shelter's getting repainted, but it's not it's not under our special projects. And that's kind of what I hit right there. So it's more smaller things, just because we spent that large chunk of money. I think Rhiannon was on park board at that time. You know, we spent $1.6 million. So it kind of, not saying that it gets neglected now, but when you're averaging how much we're spending at Housel and Hubbard and Katy and different things like that, it just rotation wise, and it's such a little park for us to figure. Now, I will tell you that it is the next playground after Katy that we'll be redoing the playground out of Housel. But there are small things that we're doing over there with landscaping, the basketball court, the futsal court, painting the shelters. It needs to be redone, but there's not anything large that I would be presenting as a special project, if that makes sense.
Their main concern was security,
Correct. They are one that's supposed to be getting cameras.
because they say we will not go in that park at night.
Yeah.
And could we do something about it?
Yeah, and let us know. The police department does a really good job when we say, hey, we're having problems at Katy
That's what I
or
told
Vermont. Their chief is really great about like making more rounds through there. And we do that. But a lot of times I don't hear that stuff. And that's what, I try to strive the most, is like, we have an open door policy, call us. If we hear about it, we'll do our best to take care of it and address it. So I will definitely address that issue. And if there's anything that they say to you, please let them reach out to me as well.
Yeah, that was one thing that was brought up. I do want to say I live across from Liberty Park and I love the Christmas display.
Oh, thank you. Staff does a good job with it. Any other questions?
Yeah, Amy, are you, I didn't see on your list there things to go.
Yeah, so
Um,
it's a special event. There's no fee for it. It's a come and go. So it's not listed in the programs that I shared. But yes, things that goes will continue to go.
next year, could we kind of advertise that a little more? Because I had a lot of people, I bring the dare car and the kids sit in it. They said, well, when's it going to be? I said, it was last week. And they said, well, we didn't know it, or we'd have brought our kids.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll continue in the activity guide and advertise it as much as we can. One thing that we had to do, and again, it's a good problem to have, but we just started off having a Facebook page just for the Heckert Community Center, because what was happening is we had so much going on and you can only put so much on a Facebook page at a time. So now we've started another one so we can focus more on the Sedalia Parks page for events like that.
Well, I know the community enjoys that. Probably 400 kids there last year. And I think that was a couple hundred less than the year before.
Mhm.
The mayor was there with me a couple of years handing out T-shirts and we ran out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a good deal.
Yeah. It's a great event.
The Any new other Facebook questions?
Page has been great. I've noticed a lot of people engaged and buzzing about it. So good job. Good job on
Thanks.
that.
I will pass that on to Savannah. She does a good job.
I got two.
Okay.
Park and Rec programs, how are you doing with volunteers as far as coaches? Is it staying up?
Yeah, I mean, but baseball's a little bit harder sometimes, but Tanner's doing a good job about recruiting coaches and then keeping coaches after the year. I know the mayor's wife, we're always hitting her up. She coaches teams as well. So I feel like we're getting good coaches. We're not struggling or just taking anybody. I mean, we do background checks and training and things as well. So yeah, I feel like we're comfortable where we are. You can always look for more. And then, a lot of our programs, volunteers with State Fair, the school district, Boy Scouts, we're very fortunate. This is a community that really is a strong community. They want to get in there and help as much as they can. But a lot of times it's just reaching the right people and asking for help. I mean, that's the one thing, sometimes we have to push and beg. And once we do it and they come, like State Fair Community College, the girls, they came once and now they just keep coming back. And now we have a meeting next week because they want to do more. So that's a good problem to have, but we're doing good. But you never want to say we're doing great, because then people might be, oh, I don't need to sign up. So we always want to see more volunteers.
Okay. And then all the other thing I've heard, personally, I love the lagoon. Looks great. I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. So good job on that. And
Thanks. I'll pass that to John and Matt. They did a good job watching out for that and overseeing. And again, that was a group project. Public Works came out and helped us a lot. They probably saved us over $300,000, if not more. So it was really good to have that partnership. Any other questions?
Doesn't look like him. Thank
Okay.
you, Amy.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The second item, request approval of an updated ordinance related to the airport infrastructure grant for the airport runway rehabilitation project. While construction activities progressed as planned, the overall implementation timeline extended longer than originally anticipated, resulting in the previously approved ordinance falling outside MoDOT's required 12-month execution window. MoDOT has advised that an updated ordinance is necessary to maintain grant compliance and allow reimbursement of eligible project cost. This action does not change the project scope or funding amounts and is administrative in nature to ensure proper reimbursement and continued compliance with grant requirements.
All right, let's call for the reading of bill number 2026-8.
Bill number 2026-8, an ordinance authorizing an airport infrastructure grant agreement for runway rehabilitation at the Sedalia Regional Airport.
Second reading?
second,
I have a motion and second for the second reading of bill number 2026-8. Do you have any council discussion regarding that bill? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Bill number 2026-8, an ordinance authorizing an airport infrastructure grant agreement for runway rehabilitation at the Sedalia Regional Airport.
final passage.
Second?
I have a motion and second for the final passage of bill number 2026-8. Do you have any council discussion regarding that? Having heard none, roll call, please.
Scribner,
Yes.
Bogus,
Yes.
Hiller,
Yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Ames.
Yes.
All in favor.
Motion passes.
Items 3 and 4, I'm going to defer to Matt.
Okay, I'll do my best tonight to get through this. So there was some questions that came up about the build grant. So I'll start off talking a little bit about the build grant, which is the better utilizing investments to leverage development. It's a highly competitive federal grant program. And so it uses a lot of technical knowledge and information in those, in writing those grants. And so this first item is the permission to apply for that grant for not only the Washington Street Bridge, but also for, well, it's actually, I'm sorry, the grant application for that. So with using HDR as a consultant to help us with that. Now, some questions came up about my usage of the word replacement in the admin memo. When I say replacement, think of the Washington Street Bridge now. Has been for over 100 years a vital corridor to connect both sides of the railroad tracks, both the north and the south side. So when we say replacement, staff isn't talking about replacing it, dismantling it, taking it away. What we're talking about is putting together a location that can provide more connectivity. A new bridge is going to have a higher weight rating for it. It's not going to have the height concerns that we have with the current bridge. So larger, heavier vehicles, such as a ladder truck with the fire department, could cross a new bridge that it can't cross now. It would provide us another connectivity point between both sides of that. And we have multiple communities north of the railroad tracks, and that connects them to the south side of the railroad tracks. So I don't want there to be any confusion about that in my use of that word. We're still going on with the repairs. We're doing our due diligence to make sure that the current repairs are of good quality and that those repairs will last for years to come. But again, I have already said that bridge is over 100 years old, so it will require maintenance. Some of the things that we've ran into is that when that maintenance comes up, it's usually requires the closing of the bridge. And we want to provide something in the future, hopefully, that will not have to close off that connection if we have another bridge. Another thing to consider with a new location is that the railroad is going to probably put pressure on us to possibly close another grade crossing or two. So that bridge will be even more vital to keeping that connectivity to both sides of the railroad tracks. So that brings about a lot of points that are important then to get someone on our side where we go after these highly competitive grants. So what you see in item 3 is a scope and fee to help us with that in the process. I'm sorry, I'm struggling talking with my voice. It's as painful as it sounds. So that scope and fee is not to exceed $47,674 with HDR. This falls under the contract that we have with HDR currently for the design and all the different help they've done on the bridge. So this is an additional scope and fee for them to bring in their technical expertise to help us put together all that information that we need for that build grant. We would also be able to use that information for any future grants that we're going to go after. Staff has already written one grant. We haven't heard back on that. And this is another grant to go after. So I've done the best I could at trying to explain. Please feel free to ask me any questions about this portion of it if you have any.
Well, I won't ask you any questions. However, I will say I appreciate you giving us the point of information, because when I read that, I said, no, we're not. We're not shutting that bridge down.
Right.
We're not removing that bridge. We're adding a bridge so that that bridge won't have so much heavy traffic on it. And as you said, the fire trucks would be able to get over it and other larger vehicles would be able to get over it. But I did not want it to be out in the community that we're relocating that bridge, because we're not. We're
Right.
adding another bridge.
Right. The idea is that that bridge is also going to still carry that vital role until something new could be built. Bridges are expensive. This isn't something that happens overnight. So this project can go on for years, because you start off with getting a grant, you start off with feasibility studies, then we have to work into getting the money for engineering. I mean, engineering itself could be millions of dollars, and the bridge itself will probably surprise everyone with the cost of it. But we won't know any of that until we know where to put it. So it's a step-by-step process that will take time. We're trying to do our diligence that council has rated this high on your priorities last year and this year. This build grant is due before our next fiscal year. So we don't want to miss out and wait until next year to apply. We want to apply now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, council?
I have one, on the Washington Bridge, this is one reason why I ranked it high on this feasibility deal, is because can the railroad come in? Because they're saying that bridge is too low now because of the new cars that they building to haul cars. They can't bring them down this road, down this track, because they can't get under that bridge. My concern is down the line, are they gonna make us close that bridge? Can they make us close that bridge?
I'm not familiar with that they can. I'm sure that when we build a new bridge, they will require us to make it higher.
The studies, and it had to be, from what I understand, it has to be 7 inches higher, which would put the landing on Washington Bridge clear down to 3rd Street. So, that's the future of it.
Well, and that's the important part about bringing in engineers, getting this technical information, and then get a feasibility study that'll give us all of that information. Because, what we have a tendency to do as staff is try to make assumptions or guess. And, ultimately getting this done will give us the best path forward. And we'll have the information and we'll know what we're going to need to do.
All right, any other questions, council? Okay, we'll proceed with the reading of Resolution 2158. And this resolution is authorizing staff to go and apply for the build grant regarding the bridge feasibility study.
Resolution 2158, a resolution authorizing the submission of an application for Better Investments to Leverage Development Build Grant for a Washington Avenue Bridge relocation feasibility study.
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second. Do I have any council discussion regarding Resolution 2158? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. And now we're going to call for the reading of Resolution 2159. This is also authorizing staff to submit an application to the build grant for engineering services for a roundabout at the intersection of State Fair Boulevard and Main Street.
Resolution 2159, a resolution authorizing the submission of an application for Better Investments to Leverage Development Build Grant for engineering services for a roundabout at the intersection of State Fair Boulevard and Main Street.
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second regarding Resolution 2159. Do I have any council discussion regarding that resolution?
Can we go over, we kind of skipped the paragraph on what this was for. Can we get a little more clarification on it?
Go ahead and give that point of information. Chairwoman Franklin, could you read that second paragraph regarding that? The administrator work, the pain of having to talk more.
Number 4.
This one here. This item requests council authorization to submit 2 build grant applications to the U.S. Department of Transportation for transportation planning and engineering initiatives. City staff are actively and aggressively pursuing funding opportunities to advance feasibility for the replacement of Washington Street Avenue Bridge, recognizing long-term importance of the city's transportation network. The first application seeks funding for relocation feasibility study to evaluate alternatives and inform future capital investment decisions. The second application seeks funding to complete engineering for a roundabout at the intersection of State Fair Boulevard and Main Street to improve safety and traffic operation. Submission of these applications position the city to remain competitive for federal funding while continuing proactive efforts to address critical infrastructure needs. No immediate financial obligation is associated with the application process, and any future funding commitments would be presented to council if grants are awarded.
All right, very good. Any other council discussion regarding the resolution 2159 that is on the floor? This is the one authorizing staff to submit an application to the for the build grant regarding the roundabout at State Fair Boulevard and Main Street. All right, I have a motion to approve and a second. I'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Move on to item number 4, and this is in connection to, let's see, item number 3 that we just went through. And this is the scope of work with regards to HDR to go ahead and authorize them to go ahead and work on the grant application for the bridge feasibility study grant application. So with that, we'll go ahead and call for the reading of bill number 2026-9.
Bill number 2026-9, an ordinance authorizing a scope of work for project coordination, monthly invoicing, and quality management plan QA for the Washington Avenue Bridge project.
Second reading?
Second.
I have a motion and second for the second reading of bill number 2026-9. Do you have any council discussion regarding that? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Bill number 2026-9, an ordinance authorizing the scope of work for project coordination, monthly invoicing, and quality management plan QA for the Washington Avenue Bridge project.
Final passage?
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the final passage of bill number 2026-9. Do I have any council discussion regarding it? Having heard none, roll call, please.
Bogus. Hiller. Cross. Foster. Franklin.
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Ames.
Yes.
Scribner.
Yes.
All in favor.
Motion passes.
The final item, a review conducted by the Traffic Advisory Commission revealed that parking has long been provided on south side of Second Street between Ohio Avenue and Osage Avenue, but the applicable restriction was never formally removed from the city's ordinance. This difference resulted in the code not accurately reflecting existing conditions. The proposed amendment corrects this inconsistency by removing the outdated restriction and aligning the ordinance with current operation.
All right, with that, we'll go ahead and call for the reading of bill number 2026-10.
Bill number 2026-10, an ordinance amending city ordinance 9450 to allow parking on the south side of West Second Street from South Osage Avenue to South Ohio Avenue.
Second reading?
Second.
I have a motion and second for the second reading of bill number 2026-10. Do I have any council discussion regarding that bill? Having heard none, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Bill number 2026-10, an ordinance amending city ordinance 9450 to allow parking on the south side of West Second Street from South Osage Avenue to South Ohio Avenue.
Final passage?
Second.
I have a motion and second for the final passage of bill number 2026-10. Do I have any council discussion regarding that bill? Having heard none, roll call, please.
Hiller.
Yeah.
Cross.
Yes.
Foster.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Ames.
Yes.
Scribner.
Yes.
Bogus.
Yes.
All in favor.
Motion passes, and thank you, Chairwoman Franklin. Up next, we have Public Safety. Chairman Scribner, you have the floor.
Thank you. We have 2 items for consideration through public safety. Number 1, this item requests approval of a budget amendment to fund the repair of fire engine 2 following a motor vehicle accident that occurred on October 10th, 2025. No injuries were reported, and the Sedalia Fire Department was determined not to be at fault. The total cost to the repair and repaint the damaged portions of the apparatus is $32,529.16, while the individual responsible for the accident was insured and reimbursement to the city is anticipated through the insurance process. Funds are required at this time to initiate repairs and to return the unit to full service. Approval of this amendment allows the fire department to proceed with necessary repairs while ensuring the city is reimbursed once the claim is finalized. I believe Chief Irwin wanted to speak about this. Just in case I missed anything.
I wanted to speak on it. This is the first time in 25 years that I've been in this position. So the young lady that hit our fire truck went down the entire right side of the truck, tore off some doors, handles and that kind of thing. So we are dealing with not only the city's insurance, but her insurance carrier as well. So we have sent the truck off to get repaired because it needs to be repaired. So I really just wanted you guys to know that the young lady actually turned into us and drove down the side of our truck. It wasn't our employees that actually did the collisions. So I just wanted to make sure we all knew that.
Very good.
Thanks.
All right, as this is a budget amendment, we have a resolution and one bill in relation to it. We'll go ahead and call for the reading of Resolution 2160.
Resolution 2160, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sedalia, Missouri, stating facts and reasons for the necessity to amend and increase the city's annual budget for fiscal year 2026.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second of Resolution 2160. Do I have any council discussion regarding that resolution? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. We'll now call for the reading of Bill number 2026-11.
Bill number 2026-11, an ordinance amending the budget for the fiscal year 2025-2026 regarding fire engine repair.
Second reading.
Second.
I have a motion and second for the second reading of Bill number 2026-11. Do I have any council discussion regarding that bill? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Bill number 2026-11, an ordinance amending the budget for the fiscal year 2025-2026 regarding fire engine repair.
Final passage.
Second.
I have a motion and second for the final passage of Bill number 2026-11. Do I have any council discussion regarding the bill? Having heard none, roll call, please.
Cross,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Ames,
Yes.
Scribner,
Yes.
Bogus,
Yes.
Hiller.
Yeah.
All in favor.
Motion passes.
The second item on our list is the station alert system for the new fire station ranks second in the council's fiscal year 27 priority list and is identified early in the project as an important operational component to the facility. The system supports responder safety, improves response efficiency, and ensures effective emergency operations within the new station. During a review of the current project, staff identified cost-saving opportunities, including the removal of a fence and select landscaping elements, which resulted in a sufficient expense reduction within the project fund to fully absorb the cost of the station's alerting system. As a result, this purchase can be made without increasing the overall project budget or requiring additional funding. Purchasing and installing the new alert system at this stage ensures timely integration with the building's infrastructure during construction, avoids unnecessary delays, and reduces the risk of additional cost or operational inefficiencies.
All right, we'll call for the reading of Bill number 2026-12.
Bill number 2026-12, an ordinance approving and accepting a quote for a G2 fire station alerting system.
Second reading.
Second.
I have a motion and second for second reading of Bill number 2026-12. Do any council discussion regarding that bill? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Bill number 2026-12, an ordinance approving and accepting quote for a G2 fire station alerting system.
Final passage.
Second.
I have a motion and second for the final passage of bill number 2026-11. Have any council discussion regarding that bill? Having heard none, roll call, please.
Foster,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Ames,
Yes.
Scribner,
Yes.
Bogus,
Yes.
Hiller,
Yes.
Cross.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, and that motion passes. Thank you, Chairman Scribner. Moving along to community development, we'll go ahead and give Chairwoman Foster the floor.
Thank you. I have one item this evening. It's a Paul Brun Grant Agreement for 606 South Ohio, KSJ Construction LLC. This item requests approval of a required subrecipient grant agreement associated with the Paul Brun Historic Revitalization Grant for rehabilitation work at 606 South Ohio Avenue. The city of Sedalia was awarded funding under the Paul Brun Historic Revitalization Grant Program administered by the National Park Service, and council previously approved the standardized subrecipient grant agreement template in March of 2024. Execution of a project specific subrecipient agreement is required by the National Park Service prior to reimbursement and implementation of grant-funded work. The Sedalia Historic Preservation Commission reviewed all submitted applications and recommended this project as one of the top priorities for funding, consistent with program goals and preservation criteria. The approved scope of work includes tuck pointing, foundation repair, and storefront rehabilitation, all of which must be completed in accordance with the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation. The total project cost is $78,050, with $60,099 funded through the federal grant and $17,951 provided by the property owner. No city funds are used for construction costs, and the city's role is limited to administration and compliance oversight required under the grant program. Following execution, the subrecipient agreement will be forwarded to the National Park Service as part of the required documentation package for final technical review. The National Park Service had advised that this review process may take up to 90 days due to national workload volume. Approval of this agreement allows the program to proceed in compliance with federal requirements and ensures eligibility for reimbursement of grant-funded expenses.
All right, let's call for the reading of bill number 2026-13.
Bill number 2026-13, an ordinance authorizing a Paul Brun Grant subrecipient grant agreement for window replacement, masonry work, and storefront repairs at 606 South Ohio.
Second reading.
I have a motion and second for the second reading of bill number 2026-13. Do I have any council discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Bill number 2026-13, an ordinance authorizing a Paul Brun Grant subrecipient grant agreement for window replacement, masonry work, and storefront repairs at 606 South Ohio.
Final passage?
Second.
I have a motion and second for the final passage of bill number 2026-13. Do I have any council discussion? Having heard none, roll call, please.
Franklin,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Ames,
Yes.
Scribner,
Yes.
Bogus,
Yes.
Hiller,
Yeah.
Cross,
Yes.
Foster.
Yes.
All in favor.
Motion passes, and thank you, Chairwoman Foster. In other business, we have one appointment. Go ahead and call for the reading of the appointment.
To members of the City Council for Mayor Andrew Dawson regarding new appointment to the Public Library Board, Melissa Turner completing Jackie Marshall's term ending June 30th, 2026.
Motion to approve?
Second.
A motion to approve in a second. Do I have any council discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Now we'll go ahead and move on to the liquor licenses. Call for the reading of the liquor licenses.
We have three renewals tonight. John Swearingen doing business as J.A. Lamy Manufacturing at 108 West Pacific for liquor by the drink. Lovell Curry doing business as The Den at 115 West Main for liquor by the drink and Sunday sales. And Shelley Shugart doing business as The End Zone at 3129 West Broadway for liquor by the drink and Sunday sales.
Motion to approve in block?
Second.
A motion to approve in block in a second. Have any council discussion regarding any of those liquor licenses? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. We'll now move on to any miscellaneous items from the city council or city administrator. Does anybody have anything? Doesn't look like it. So our next item on our agenda is the good and welfare portion of the meeting. This is the time we've set aside for residents of Sedalia to address the city council directly. As a reminder, anyone wishing to speak must have signed up in advance using the form located in the lobby prior to the start of the meeting. That form requires your name, address, telephone number, and the agenda item you wish to address. Comments must relate to items on tonight's agenda unless a formal written request to speak on non-agenda topic was submitted at least 2 business days in advance. Each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes to present their remarks. Please clearly state your name and address for the record when you come to the microphone. This is not a time for debate or dialogue with council members. The council chambers is a limited public forum, and all remarks must be directed at the council as a whole. I would like to remind everyone that personal attacks on specific city employees by name or title are not permitted. If you wish to file a formal complaint regarding an employee, you may do so in writing through the clerk's office. Disruptive behavior such as shouting, refusing to yield the floor, or blocking the view of others will not be tolerated, and violators may be asked to leave or removed by law enforcement if necessary. Your comments tonight will be recorded as a part of the official public record. We thank you for your cooperation in maintaining decorum. At this time, we'll go ahead and begin calling forward those that have signed up to speak. Clerk Myers?
I have no one tonight, Mayor.
You have no one. Okay, with that, I will go ahead and entertain a motion to move to closed session.
See, motion to move to closed session under subsections 1, 2, 3, and 12.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Robinson,
Yes.
Ames,
Yes.
Scribner,
Yes.
Bogus,
Yes.
Hiller,
Yep.
Cross,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Get to return to the regular open meeting.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Roll call, please.
Robinson,
Yes.
Ames,
Yes.
Scribner, Bogus,
Yes.
Hiller, Cross,
Yeah.
Foster, Franklin.
Yes.
Chris, are we back live? Good deal. All right, call for the reading of bill number 2026-14.
Bill number 2026-14, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a quitclaim deed for the sale of property commonly known as 168 Summer from Durrell Chauvenue to the city of Sedalia, Missouri.
Second reading?
Second.
I have a motion and second for the second reading of the bill. Do I have any council discussion regarding the bill that's on the floor? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Bill number 2026-14, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a quitclaim deed for the sale of property commonly known as 168 Summer from Durrell Chauvenue to the city of Sedalia, Missouri.
Final passage?
Second.
I have a motion and second for the final passage of bill 2026-14. Do I have any council discussion regarding that bill? Having heard none, roll call, please.
Robinson,
Yes.
Ames,
Yeah.
Scribner,
Yes.
Bogus,
Yes.
Hiller,
Yeah.
Cross,
Yeah.
Foster,
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
All in favor.
Motion passes. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
I have a motion and second to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Meeting adjourned.
Aye, guys.
All right.